Hi there, my crafty friends. It's Ashley Pfeiffer, the maker behind Stamped AF. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Canada, and I would like to introduce this week's product of the week, Tasteful Textures. And it's the bundle, so it's the stamp set and the dies. There's 3 great dies, and I'm going to use all 3 this week. Actually, that's a lie. That's a lie. I am going to show you all 3. I'm not going to use all 3. I've got everything all planned out to use these 2 this week, but I'll show you a card with this week that was super fun. I actually have a video using this one already, so you can refer back to that. But it is July 2019, and if you order it between Monday, July 8th and Sunday, July 14th, I will throw in a special little something for you. We're going to make this adorable card right now, and it is using obviously Tasteful Textures, but it is also using Sea of Textures. So we are all about the textures, all about it. Texture wise is Artisan Textures, and we could actually bring that in for some bubbles. Why don't we do that? We'll make a little bit of a change. So we'll use 3 textured stamp sets. Fun. That was a fly by the seat of your pants. Okay, so I mentioned a different video. So the video I shared, I want to say it was 2 weeks ago, was using the pigment sprinkles and that fun floral die. So this was the inspiration for that card. The one that is posted now has some extra leaves, but that was the card that I did using the floral one. Super fun. Now, let's get on to this. So we need all 3 of these stamp sets, and we're using 3 sea-themed colors. So we're using Soft Sea Foam, Coastal Cabana, and Pretty Peacock. Too bad Pretty Peacock doesn't have like a water name in it. Hey, that'd be fun. Anyways, we need a whole bunch of supplies for this. We need the subtle embossing folder because I'm not sure if you can tell. I do have my focus lock on here so that it doesn't keep zooming in and out and in and out and making things blurry, but subtle is on here. We need the Octopus die and stamp. We need that from the Sea of Textures. We need a whole bunch of the foliage from the Sea of Textures, and we're using the peacock foil for the fish. So there's a whole lot of die cutting on this card. And then we also need some sponge daubers. So lots of supplies, but chances are you have almost everything you need to make this card. And if not, and you live in Canada, feel free to shop with me for any of the supplies you need. Okay, so first things first, we're going to move all of that out of the way. We are going to start with a sheet of watercolor paper. Now, this is not the new fluid watercolor. This is the old watercolor paper that we had, and we're going to need an aqua painter. So we are going to apply a wash on here. And we're just using these ink pads, mainly because I don't have Pretty Peacock as an ink refill yet. But I do have plenty of color in those lids, so let's get some of it on this one. So you just have to kind of squeeze, and if that doesn't work enough, you can put it on a block. So like that. Okay, so this is 4 1/4 by 5. Again, I'm going to add a whole bunch of water here. I'll start with the Soft Sea Foam. Move over to the Coastal Cabana. Grab some Pretty Peacock. It's nice and soft, and while we've got everything still wet, that's it for the aqua painter. We're gonna just open these up fully. We'll set that part aside to dry. And now let's do our octopus. So we need a piece of Whisper White. And I just so happen to have a scrap from yesterday that I had saved. And it will, I think, just fit on here. So with our finger daubers, we are starting with the lightest color first. So just soft seafoam, and you're going to do the bottom of all of the tentacles. Now there's one that comes up here that is a little tricky to keep it just soft seafoam, because as you will see as we build, my Coastal Cabana ends up covering that part. So next, Coastal Cabana, and you can see where you've done the last inking. Okay, I want to do like his neck, if that's a thing. And then finally, Pretty Peacock, just on his head. And then we're gonna blend it in. So darkest, now we're coming back. We might get a bit of Pretty Peacock on that dauber, but you know what, that's okay. And then there we go. And I do like to put that soft seafoam back on just in case. Okay, and then give it a hot breath. Just to reactivate the color in case it's dried. And beautiful. I love the way that comes out. I've never seen an octopus live. Makes it sound like they go on YouTube or Facebook Live. I've never seen an actual octopus, but I'd like to think that they're not just one plain old color. Okay, so we can put the octopus back. We'll let him sit for a minute. We've got to die cut that. Now, with our card base, we are going to cut out our Tasteful Textures piece. This little magnet never stays in here. If it were a full sheet, it would, but because it's just a little strip, it does not. Okay, so we're using that piece. I just need a piece of Whisper White, regular cardstock, not thick. So right there, I'm just going to trim this down to full 4 1/4 tall. Now, before we emboss it, we're going to stamp these couple of whatever these are. So this is Pretty Peacock, and we're going to stamp it once, twice, 3 times. You could do more, but that's good. Okay, so that one's done. So now we can adhere this. And I just so happen to have some washi tape here, so let's do that. Whoops. Apparently not very sticky washi tape. Okay, so we can pull this off now. Next, we are going to use our subtle embossing folder and emboss this whole sheet, which is completely optional. You don't have to do that part. And I want mine going across so that it kind of implies little waves. And voila. Cute, hey? Now we just start building, and if you notice on my original card you can't see any of that foliage, it's because I specifically maneuvered this so that you wouldn't. And it may be a little more difficult this time, but I might have stamped too far over, but anyways, it's pretty close like that. I mean, I can see a little piece, but not the end of the world. Okay, now typically I would lay this under something so it is completely flat, but I do want you to be able to see me assemble this. So this is the part where you can decide if you want the dark over here or over here. And I think for this one, we're gonna do it like that. Isn't that gorgeous? I'm gonna run this through my Big Shot just with the plates. No embossing folder or anything, just so that it flattens it out. Yes, I will end up with some weird patterns on it, but you're only seeing a tiny bit of it anyways, and I don't want my card to be warped. Okay, flat as a pancake. Well, tiny bit of a warp, but okay. Now, which way did I say? I think it was the other way this time. Oh, it's so pretty. Now, I popped this up on dimensionals. The only problem is you can't really get dimensionals in here, so it dips down there, which is not the end of the world, but I would prefer it if it was all one layer. So the other thing you could do is cut a piece of craft foam and line it up so that everything is exactly the same height. We don't want this part sticking out. Oh, that is better. There are still some parts in here that are sinking, but it is better than this one where it just totally dips in the middle. Okay, so now it's time for some glue. We're gonna add this little guy first, and I just add a little bit along the bottom and a couple of pieces here and there. You can actually spread it out if you want. This one's going on the left. This one's going on the right. And the octopus we put up on dimensionals. Okay, so remember you're trying to cover that little bit of foliage at the bottom. And you could always mask that part off if you don't want to worry about that. Now, I did say we were going to use artisan texture, so let's bring in a couple of bubbles. And because I didn't do this at the beginning, of course I forgot to do it before I embossed, but no biggie. Let's use, instead of Coastal Cabana, let's use Pool Party. It'll be a little more subtle. Very subtle, in fact. You can't even see it. Live and learn. I should have done it before. And I don't want Coastal Cabana because I think they're going to be too obvious that way, so close that up, and now all that's left are some fishies. Now, on the first one, I put them all kind of in a weird little thing. I think I'm going to spread them out a little more. I don't want them up there. I do still want them down here, but I'm just going to put some random dots. Make it look like they're part of the octopus pack. I'm just kind of swimming in amongst him. So cute. So now all we have to do is adhere this to our card base. So remember that, oh, that wasn't all the way, it wasn't a full card mat. A full 5.5 by 4 1/4. Looks like it was just 4. So just give that a good press. I didn't stamp anything on the inside. Sometimes I like to have just blank cards so that when an occasion comes up and I don't have time to make a card, I can just stamp something in a card that I've already made. Now I probably will flatten this under a pile of catalogs. I'm going to take the lock off so you can see. Still kind of blurry. There we go. Isn't it beautiful? The colors in that octopus and the texture that we've gotten in behind there with that alcohol spray. I want you to see both of them because, I mean, we really got some texture in there that we wouldn't have gotten without that alcohol spray. So they are both very similar. You can't really see those bubbles all too much, but that's okay. You can see now why I put my focus lock on, right? It'd be focusing in and out the entire time. Okay, so that is all for this card. I thank you so much for watching and hope that you will consider hitting that big subscribe button below. And I also hope that if Tasteful Textures is on your wish list, you haven't gotten it yet, and you live in Canada, that you will order it with me this week. Thank you so much for watching, my friends, and if you need any of the supplies to make these or any other project, please consider sending me an email at stampedaf@gmail.com or just head on over to stampedaf.ca. And we'll see you soon, my crafty friends. Bye.